Hey, it's that time of the week again. Time for Let's Go Free Radio. We got such a big show today. I got like 8 different items I want to go over you, but I don't have time to explain them. So just watch. Well, did you ever think that you had a great idea for a product that really can save the world? Sort of like mixing capitalism and socialism, right? Well, I think you can. And there's ways to use capitalism to do very good in the world. And I not just mean by creating jobs, but just how about the underdeveloped countries that they really need economic development? How are they going to do that? So instead of giving them money to solve the problem, here's an idea how this young fella, and you'll see the video in a second, went on the web and got $28,000, to start a tea company that gets tea from Nepal. And Nepal is like one of the poorest countries in the world. So, I mean, it's a great idea. That's why capitalism, even though it has its faults and it almost crushed the whole economy of the world, last year or a couple of years ago, it really is powerful, And so watch this story. He went on a Kickstarter, he and this woman that started the business, and they import teas from Nepal and got $26,000 from a Kickstarter campaign. This is a crowdfunding. Went on the internet, built a little site, and he talks about how that site, having to put the information about his business idea on that site, made him think through the product idea, and made him a better company just for having to think through the product. I mean, that's another. We get so excited about stuff, but we don't learn to communicate it well because people's minds are somewhere else than we are. That's why I'm using one of these sites to raise money on. Helps you think through your idea and put it in understandable words. So then you could use it for the rest of the success of the company. So watch this video. Watch how we got that $26,000. Well, Mr. Burnett, Robert Burnett with Nepali Tea Trader. And you were telling me before we went on there that you were like a student in Nepal and just a year ago got out of college and now started a tea company with it.
Right.
Terrific. And watching the video, by the way, it's a very sensitive video. And what's nice about it, I mean, so much on Kickstarter is, bells and whistles and clowns and stuff like that. But it comes across that the seriousness of what your business is about. And you just feel that from everything you put in the video. So I want to congratulate you on that video because obviously you're sincere people doing terrific work.
Thanks. I'm glad that came across. We're trying really hard to be a very honest business and a very open business, and we're trying to do some good things. So we feel like that's the best way to get that across.
So, I mean, you're using really economic development, the tea, which is, from what I understand from your site in the video, is like one of the best teas in the world. That
it's amongst the best, yes.
Yeah, that they weren't really exporting it for a whole bunch of reasons. And so trying to help economic development in Nepal, he said, hey, we'll sell your teas.
Exactly. We think that there's a lot's going on in the world right now with development, and we just thought that creating a business and paying people fairly and correctly for what they produce and what they should earn, and giving people agency over their own lives, giving them the control and the access to markets is the best way to allow them to unlock their own potential. We're not trying to do it for them; we're letting them do it for themselves.
You're just really a distributor in a way. Are you manufacturing the tea here, or are they just the raw material?
They do all the manufacturing. The tea comes to us ready to drink. All we do over here is packaging and marketing.
Ah, well, terrific.
Yeah. Our goal is
what they're the least good at, and that's what you're the most good at, right?
And our goal is to actually continue, as the business grows. The goal is to move as much as we can to Nepal. Eventually, we'd like to have the whole thing, packaging, everything done there, so we can employ more Nepalis. Just give them more jobs, more control.
So you, the principals of the company, and the woman, I forget her name.
Maggie LeBeau. She's our real founder. She's the CEO. She's the real.
I see. You're just the pretty face
behind the whole thing. I'm just a pretty face to help out. So.
But her heart. It seems very much into, helping the people in Nepal who really need it. I mean, one of the poorest countries in the world.
Yeah, that was the entire, reason for starting the company was we wanted to help. It wasn't to to make money or make it rich or to
Right.
because we had any particular love or affinity for tea. We just saw tea as this fantastic, consumable product that commands a high price that can do great things if we
But I
sell
mean,
it.
I think tea is a hot product too.
Oh,
It's
it's
one of those
great.
things that's going to be taken over.
It's great for you. It's a good, healthy product. We
Yeah.
don't have to worry
But
about
not
it.
only that, it seems like a growth. I see these tea shops popping up
Oh, they're
all.
popping up everywhere. It's
Yeah,
huge.
that's
Starbucks is
like
getting into it.
Starbucks.
People are starting to realize that tea, it's a little bit less caffeine than
Yeah.
coffee. It's got a lot of health benefits.
Hmm.
It tastes good.
Right.
It's just all the way around. Once you get used to it, it's a great product.
Now I'm hanging out with Chinese people now too, and they're all these kind of teas and little jars of stuff and all that. They never touch coffee, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's great. So on Kickstarter, you got about eight days to go. You're
8 days
almost,
ago.
you're more than halfway to your goal already, which is
Yeah.
cool. And so now, then the goal will make you what? I mean, you're going to be able to do a batch so you're ready to sell, or actually these are
So
customers first.
yeah, we're already selling. Basically, this Kickstarter is a couple things for us. It's a pre-order for the first flush or the spring flush is the first crop of the year of teas, and it's by the best. It's the most highly sought after. It's the highest priced.
Ah.
So this Kickstarter will fund our purchase of those
Mm-hmm.
because it's been an entirely self-funded company so far. So we can purchase those. So again, get us more product, the better product, so we can start selling again, sending more back to Nepal, and it'll help us. Depending on if we reach our goal or surpass it, we can invest a little bit more in marketing, things like that, to really kind of get the business up and running and get it out to the masses beyond kind of our friends and family and the Denver market.
So
So
yeah, I guess the Denver market must be hot for tea.
it's a great place, and we all just happen to be here. So it's our home. We love our home. We love Colorado, so it makes it a logical place for us to start. But
I mean,
it also
there
is
like
just a great
there's
place
a
for tea.
big Buddhist community there too in the Denver area or something. I mean, it seems
Yeah,
like
Denver, Boulder,
yeah.
big Buddhist community. There's actually a large Nepali, expat community here in
Uh-huh.
Colorado along the Front Range. Plenty of great restaurants and Indian food, Nepali food. So it's a great place to be
Yeah.
for the business to be.
Especially for a boy from New Jersey, right?
Oh yeah, it's great. I love it here. I
And you
wouldn't
just
trade it
got out
for
of school
this
looking
snow
for,
in April.
you were just got out of college and looking for something to do, and this just fell in your lap, huh?
Fell in my lap. It was,
Yeah.
I like to think we make our own luck, but I was pretty lucky. I had done my work. I'd been to Nepal. I'd been wanting to do some kind of work with Nepal. I
I see.
saw myself going into NGOs or the
Oh,
nonprofit
really?
world
I see.
to start, and maybe for a couple years before doing graduate school or something. But this popped in my lap, and it is
Wow.
really right up my alley. I like the business. I like thinking as a businessman, but knowing that what I'm doing is
You
also
have
going
a
to help.
bigger mission, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the problem with. I love capitalism because it's a great way to keep score. Because if
yeah,
you're really doing something of value, somebody's giving you money for
yeah.
it.
You can't underestimate profit motive, and also if we have a great product,
Yeah,
the product will sell itself, and then we don't have to be beholden
right.
to people, to charitable contributions. We can just use our profits the way we see
Exactly.
fit, and hopefully that'll make us more efficient as a contributor to Nepal
Well, I mean,
as well
to
as a
me,
business.
but that's what's going on now. Like Kickstarter, you don't have to go out and raise venture capital.
Exactly.
Some fat cat is going to tell you to hire their girlfriend or something like
So
that.
it really gives us a lot of control over our own business, which is the reason why we went down the Kickstarter road in the first place. Is lets us keep going, keep moving forward without having to. I have no doubt we could find a fantastic investor who believes in our mission, but
Right.
this makes it easier.
Yeah, no, a lot easier. And even what I think, it's a great place to fail. So you screw up, you do it out there, you tweak
We
it.
have no intention of failing
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
but it's. I always play. Okay, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly right. And the way we saw it too is it's a great way. It's a viral marketing.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get our name out there and get people involved. And we think we have a very compelling story and a compelling
Oh,
mission.
terrific.
So this is just a great way to tell that story.
So what will be the next thing? I mean, when this is over, I mean, then you just have to keep growing that business or the
Yeah,
company.
the next big thing for us would be in June. There's the World Tea Expo, which is kind of a
Ah,
big tea trade show.
where?
States, and it's actually in Las Vegas.
Ah,
So we'll get to go to Vegas for a couple of days, and that'll be our chance to really get in with the our work on our wholesale business, work on getting into grocery stores, work on getting into tea shops, things like that.
yeah.
And the Kickstarter is really to help us try to grow our online retail business, so direct to consumer through the web.
I mean, Kickstarter, anything that surprised you that works that you didn't think worked, or you thought was going to knock your socks off and it was a bust on Kickstarter? The techniques, yeah.
Kickstarter has been really very steady for us, which we've been really pleased with. It's hard to know how going in. The biggest kind of hurdles we had, I don't know if there's anything that kind of blew us away or anything, but the two things we realized we're learning is that originally we realized our message was a little too muddled, a little too, we tried to write a lot down because we thought we had a great story. So we wrote it all down, but it got too much. And so it was, you had to dig through to figure out exactly what was going on. So we've really worked on cleaning up our language, making ourselves a lot clearer. And it's helped our whole company business as a whole, because we've worked on getting a clearer, more honest, more straightforward and direct message, which is what we've always tried to do, but we're learning how to do it more because we have to interact with people every day. So
that's a great thing. I mean, so Kickstarter is helping you focus your message for the rest of your life.
Yeah, kind of our brand image, our message, because we've always wanted to be we kind of went out with this, say we want to be very accessible, very open, very kind of a fun business. We want to be a business that you want to do business with. And Kickstarter is really helping us work on that message and get used to talking to people more directly, which has been great.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, it's just great to hear the stories, and it's great to hear somebody so young, I mean, interested in doing more than just, making a whole lot of money on Wall Street, and save some of the other problems we have in the world. And doing it with capitalism. I mean,
there you go.
Really cool.
For better or for worse, it's a tool that can be used.
Absolutely, man. Use what the hell's out there.
Exactly.
Well, good for you, Robert. And wish you the best of luck. And I'll be drinking your tea, okay?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, so you could use capitalism to start saving the world too. You use it for anything besides just feeding yourself. There's so many things to do in the world, so many ideas, to investigate, so many problems to solve. Don't waste time. There's time on the web now that you could go to these websites and start testing out ideas, start using these tools that are now available for you to do some fun, neat things in the world. So go at it. People that are struck with a serious illness quickly realize that it's just not the healthcare bills that they have to worry about paying. It's all the other bills that come up too. When you're sick, you're not working probably too, so you have no income coming in. So how are you going to take care of daycare? How are you going to take care of home care? Someone's got to take care of the home. How are you going to get to the treatment? Say if you have cancer and you got to go chemotherapy and stuff like that, how are you going to get back and forth from that too? So all these kind of expenses, they're non-profit organizations can help with that. There's here's one, cancercare.org. They help with things like this too. I mean, you get $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 or more to help with these kinds of incidental so-called expenses that can really mount up to a whole bunch of change. And you're worried about not only getting healthy, but paying for the healthcare treatment. But these non-healthcare related expenses are really going to knock your socks up. So actually, this cancercare.org page is great, and their services to fill out the form and get financing from them for some of these other expenses. I mean, they have an income limit, but it goes up to like $60,000 for a family. So that's $60,000. You'll still be eligible for that kind of thing. Then plus, they have on their site is financial assistance sources. They have about 60, 70 other financial assistance sources. So these are people who did all the research for you all over the web, to go out and get it in one place. So cancercare.org. You have cancer, know somebody has cancer, or even any kind of illness, because it'll help you show sources for other kind of illness and get some extra money for that. So pass this along to folks. You may be healthy and everything, but everybody isn't. So it's a good site to know about. Hey, Hey, are you a photographer? Or maybe you know somebody that is a photographer. Well, it's tough to make money selling, photos nowadays, particularly in the publishing industry. How many times do you see, photograph books anymore, or even books anymore? Well, here's a fellow I want you to meet who's a photographer, and what he does is take pictures of average folks. People just in their daily lives, but he makes them so human. I mean, watch this thing just to see his photographs. I mean, they take an average person and really glorifies our daily existence in life, which I think is very special. So if you're a photographer sometime and want to know how to make money out of it, oh, here's what he did. He had no luck trying to sell his photographs to become a book to a publisher. So he went on the web. Right, on the internet, and he got over $17,000 to publish his own, like coffee table photograph book. People wanted it. People on the internet saw that. Yeah, I want one of those. So he got all the money, enough money to go out and publish his own book like that. Now that's the way to do it. And it took him like 90 days, and he had the money. That was it. In publishing, a major publisher could take you 6 months, a year, whatever, to go through that process. And then plus, the way he did it went right to the customers. It's the customers and potential customers that gave him the money. But he's a delightful chap from London, so I just spoke to him recently. So watch this and see these pictures. You can't miss it. Well, Mr. Peter Dench, right? Is that how you say it?
No relation to the actress Dame Judy.
That I guess everybody thinks that, but I did immediately when I was watching your video. And you say you're Peter Dench, just sitting on the beach there, which is great. And I told you this earlier, and I hate to say it again, but I just think the images you do as a photographer, people's average life just seems to honor everyone's existence, on this planet, somehow making everyone's average little thing doing seem just so special. And it makes you feel, I think at least me, it makes me feel more real about life. I feel more comfortable in life when I see that, because I see other people just schlepping through life like I do, but you honor that, but what you've really done, to me, mind, is take that and went online and raised what, $17,000 to make a book on it. That's terrific.
Thank you. But it was because people got involved. They got behind the project. They engaged with it. They believed in it, and without that help, then the book wouldn't exist. So
you're thanking all the little people now, is that what you...
Not at all. I mean, whether someone donated $25 or $2,000, I treated it as a donation, regardless of the value. So, whether it was an old school friend or a businessman, it was equally valid. Yeah. There are no little people out there. There are.
but I mean, everyone, whether it's $25 in my mind, I mean, they're just as important to making that happen, as the bigger person. Instead of going to a publisher who's writing one big check, you got to make sure you got, dozens and hundreds of people doing this. So each one is important.
And it gathers momentum as well. I mean, when the crowdfunding started, I treated it as a full-time job. The platform, the Emphasis platform that's hosting the fundraising, you have 60 days to raise.
60 days, so it's beat the clock, huh? It's like...
I genuinely didn't know whether 60 days was too much time or not enough time. So I was petrified. So I made sure that for those 2 weeks at least that I sat down and dedicated myself to that process. And I think people are naive if they put their project on a crowdfunding site and just let it sit there and hope.
You mean I have to work and do this too? Wow.
You've got to offer something for the people out there to put. It takes an effort for someone to actually put their hand in their pocket and the pay button. It's okay to bring something, but to
by your name alone, everyone didn't flock and just buy it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've seen photographers expect their name to generate a certain amount of money, and that hasn't happened. So, you have to be a bit more proactive, I think.
Now, did you take the project to try to find traditional publishers at all first, or not?
My knowledge of the book publishing world, the traditional book publishing world, was very limited. I did have one in, and I presented the book project to them, and they ummed and ahed about it for 6 or 7 months.
Wow!
Yeah, and there was a last year in England, there was the royal wedding.
Oh, yeah.
There was the Olympics.
Wasn't that this year?
Or it was Jubilee. Yeah, I mean, there's so much pageantry here. Last year was a particularly big year for British pageantry, so it was important for me to have the book ready for when that happened. And crowdfunding, I mean, from when the go button was pressed to raise the money to having the book in my hand was about a 3-month process.
Really? So in 3 months, how long did it take to get the site up?
Yeah, that takes you've got to be a bit prepared, but the video that you mentioned, they say there's no appeal like a video appeal, so that has to be quite professional, I suppose, or you've got to know your audience, and you don't just sit there and go. So I knew who would invest or who would back the project, and I wanted to be true to the images, and as you've seen, there's some humor in there. So I think the website took once you've done the video and you've decided on the rewards or the incentives for people to sort of with the different price ranges, then it's a small amount of time. I think if you dedicated yourself to it, you could prepare your funding page in a couple of weeks.
Oh, really? Huh? Just on, but I mean, and you're up there, and in 90 days you have money, and you're out publishing your book already, huh?
Yeah. That's
but
the
more
drive.
importantly, I see you were so wrong about setting up your page. Because you said you would get $12,000, and you're a dumb Brit and got $17,000 instead, huh?
I mean, they say like, if you want to, you are supposed to give them the book dummy, so that you say, this is the book I want. I see. And they look at it and they go, okay, it's 144 pages. It's this size, so in order to print 1,000 books, we need to raise $12,000. So that's how the figures decide that. But then if you go over that figure, all it means is people are pre-ordering the book. So so I had 1,000 books printed, and 400 or so were already pre-booked. So money didn't go in my pocket. The extra $5,500 wasn't profit. It's just as more people have pre-ordered the book, which is flattering.
Yeah. Oh, that's why you're doing it.
And the thrill of crowdfunding is you see an immediate response. So if you have I had a post on the CNN website, and
really?
You immediately see if the funding's increased, and then you have it on the BBC, and you can see that $800 were pledged within hours of it going live. So you can see what's working and what isn't.
No, that instant gratification. So how did you get a plug on the BBC and CNN?
You kind of, I suppose, you have your date in mind when the funding page is going to go live. So you do a bit of preparation. You got to do homework. Yeah, you get people on board. You get a team around you to, you don't want to be there on day one and see going, right, who do I call? What do I do? You want to have I had a hashtag, and it was Help Dench. I think a large percentage of the funding was driven through Twitter, which I'm a big fan of.
No kidding, huh?
And everyone who donated a sum of money or backed the project, I would try and reward, if that's the right word, with a personalised tweet within minutes of their pledge. So it kind of showed that I'd found out who they are, what they're doing, what they're interested in, and then so there's a there's an engagement. It's a two-way process, I think.
So you really have to find out about all your audience, I guess, is really what it is, and you're being as close as possible to the people that are helping you. And I guess that really shows your appreciation much more than anything. Taking the time.
But having said that, people who I'd bent over backwards to help recently didn't put their hands in their pocket. But school friends I hadn't seen for 27 years suddenly took an interest. So you can't rely on like John from down the road for $50. You can't tot it all up in your head. There were some surprises along the way, which
like old girlfriends come in and say, "I didn't know you were that talented," or
yes,
I would have hung in there with you.
There are a few kind of like the boys done good donations or pledges or purchases. So
that's wonderful.
Right. Well, you're a delightful person, Peter, and the book is right now. What's the best place to get the book now?
On your website, peterdench.com?
No, I mean, it's available through the Emphasis website.
Oh, Emphasis. Okay, so it's still for sale on there. You can still hook on there, right?
There's some in stores across the
all over London, right? And in every taxi cab you get it. Well, I just want to reiterate to people that the photographs of life, the average person's life in London or England, that it just is heartwarming. It makes me feel more alive as a person somehow, and I can't explain why, just looking at those photographs. I mean, it's not like a movie that entertains you or something. This feels closer to me than any spectacular bomb blowing up or something like that, that you make me feel more about life somehow. I don't know how you do that, Peter, but I'm thankful that you're here doing that, and keep doing that work, okay? Take care. See, now this is the way to get ideas across, or even images, I mean, that website, that's what it's all about. And what do you have to lose? Nothing. Some time putting up a website. The website's free. Everything else is free doing it. It costs nothing. You don't even have to go to New York and bang on doors or whatever. Man, so if you have an idea about photographs or anything, telling a story, do it here. Test the idea. The worst that can happen is you don't get all the money, but you'll learn. You'll learn a lot. And it's better than hiring some expert to tell you what to do and waste money that way. Here you just waste time. And if you go through the process yourself and learn the real way, you can't learn how to hit a baseball sitting in a class. That's what you do if you go to an expert. You go out there and start swinging and learn how to miss boy until you hit one. That's what it is. So get in there, get out of the web, and start swinging. And you'll hit one soon. Well, this country's going to start investing a heck of a lot more to get people to study the healthcare industry, or to get in the fields of the healthcare industry, because we need people to take care of all us aging baby boomers out there. So right now the industry's booming. So anything in healthcare, is really a pretty safe career nowadays. But actually, what's interesting is a program I saw over at it's called the Health Resources and Services Administration. This is part of the government, so HRSA.gov, and you go there and look at the loans and scholarships, because they have a program there for people who don't have a lot of money and want to get like a degree in alternative kind of medicines. So you can study like homeopath. Become a homeopath, or become an osteopath, or a dentist, or an optometry. Be an optimist, an ophthalmologist, a pharmacist, a podiatrist, or even a vet. Take care of pets. That's a boom industry, certainly in this country. And what's neat about it, they pay for everything. They'll give you money. It's a loan. It's a low interest loan. You're not going to be able to get this anywhere else, because it's for people who don't have money and want to study a couple of years. They pay for your education totally, all your education expenses, and also living expenses. So you get it all, one shot. So even if you're an older person like me, I'm 70, I may live for 30 more years, I'll start all over again and become a veterinarian. If you have a small business or going to have one soon, I want you to listen to David Braun here. Now he's an expert in mergers and acquisitions, and he's got great advice here about how you could grow any small business by adding on other small businesses with it. Right. So the objective is to create a business for the long term that enhances the opportunities for your customer. In other words, how do you provide a better product, service, or add-on, or whatever to give a better product to your customer? And you could do that by going into partnership or acquiring or whatever other small businesses. And it can be done for almost anything. And this seems to be the way to grow now in our country. We all can't be experts in everything, right? But we have to give more value to the customer, and we could do that by acquiring other businesses. Watch him and listen and see how even you could do it as a small business. Okay, so David Braun, and you're the author of Successful Acquisitions. Well, I'm trying to think of how could my little company grow, and be more successful by being buying another company. I thought it was only for the big companies bought people.
Yeah. Well, what you're saying is what a lot of owners think too. Yeah. Owners of small businesses, and I think one of the things that folks need to keep in mind is that 97% of acquisitions are small to mid-sized companies.
Wow,
I mean,
97%.
97%.
So we only talk about the top 3%.
Yeah, exactly. Because those are the ones that get the news and the splash, and they're the big deals. But how many $10 billion deals are there to be? How many $1 billion deals are there?
Well, you only want one, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I think for a lot of owners, they think about acquisition as though it's something that only Fortune 500 companies do. Well, Fortune 500 companies didn't start out as Fortune 500 companies. And the other part is that in many cases, it's not so much about the size. It's about
size does not matter?
Size does not matter.
Great. I was always telling everybody that.
Speed is what matters.
Speed, I see. Good.
Speed is what matters. And part of it is in many cases, it's an ability to really think differently about your business. Let me explain that a little bit. We use the word acquisition. That doesn't mean you have to only go out and buy 100% of a company. Okay? There's lots of different ways that you can structure transactions. You can buy a part of the company, or you can buy a majority interest but still keep a minority interest in that. There's lots of different things that we can think about. But here's the other more interesting point. How can you create your company to be more valuable by acquiring other businesses or product lines or brand names or intellectual property? And so the ones that are really successful at this are not the ones that necessarily just know about the transactional part, the legal and the financial part. It's about the strategy part. So what kinds of things would make my company different and better and more special because I had this other capability, location, product line, whatever it may be. And so it's first of all being able to really come up with what is the vision that I have for my company that's going to make me more valuable to my customers. Maybe not only today, but maybe down the road from today. And then being able to figure out who are those companies out there that are going to make the most sense in creating the transaction. So let's not start with a transaction. Yeah. Let's start with the vision of what kinds of companies could really help my company be a valuable
you want to say what kind of business would make my business better, more profitable, more bigger, and more worthwhile, huh?
Yeah. So let me give you a common example that we see today is, the customer may want to buy some products and services and ingredients and capabilities and designs. You can think of all different kinds of scenarios of that, right? Well, one of the things that you can do, for example, that's pretty powerful in this day and age is be the aggregator. Be the easy button. Be the easy button for your customers so that you can become, in effect, the one-stop shop. And that doesn't mean you have to own each of those pieces. You may own some of them, but you may have contractual relationships through an acquisition. In other words, you might acquire the rights, to be the aggregator.
Right.
But think about how you can make yourself more valuable, whether it be a consumer or a business-to-business. But, you make it easier because you become the one-stop shop for all of those pieces that someone may want.
So if I'm going into to buy a new suit and the guy doesn't have ties, he should have a deal with the tie maker.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be buying out the tie maker. It could just be, buying part of the tie maker.
Or having an acquisition of the rights to be able to sell his ties on your name.
So that's called mergers and acquisition, having the
Absolutely.
rights to sell it? Really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Never
Yeah,
thought
so
of it that way.
Yeah, see, and that's where I think that, to me, if there was one thing that your audience heard out of our conversation is, don't just be intimidated in thinking it's big acquisitions means I got to go through this complicated transaction of buying this company, like Hewlett Packard buying Compaq, right? Those are not how a lot of these. I mean, there are certainly those, but there are other ways of being able to grow your company by buying other companies, and buying doesn't mean you have
say
to
if I was a web designer, I could make a deal with a
content provider.
What? Internet provider. Yeah, and be
or
call that a mergers and
about
acquisition, and I get a piece of that.
Yeah, or how about a call center? So let's say you're the web designer for companies. What they also need is a fulfillment side.
Yes.
So you can handle the call center and the fulfillment, and you may buy some of those pieces, or you may partner with them in some form or fashion contractually. But you now make your company more valuable to the customer because you have the ability to deliver all that.
So that's part of mergers and acquisitions. See, I'm an old guy. I don't think new stuff is as easily as well. That's great. I mean, really, you're making it easier for the customer. So what would make it? To me, that's what you're saying is what would be added to your business that would make it easier to your customer that you don't have to develop in house.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And let me give you kind of an analogy to have your folks kind of plant a seed for them. Think about HR, human resources, hiring people. All of your listeners are going to, at some form or fashion have employees or people that they work with. And so, in some cases, they need to hire a salesperson. In some cases, they need to hire an accountant. In some cases, they need to hire an operations person. But in some cases, they may outsource pieces of that, right? That's why Paychex does payroll for companies.
Exactly. I've been using them for years,
So why not do the same thing in terms of how people grow their business? Right. So in other words, I may need a Paychex to help me run my business. Doesn't mean I have to go acquire that, all that talent. Doesn't mean I have to go buy all those.
I see.
You know what I mean? But you can get the benefit of that. And so your employees still get the benefit of your relationship with Paychex. But we think about that for our services, but why don't we think about that for our customers?
Right.
How do we make it easier for our customers? And that's really where I think smaller companies get stuck because they get intimidated because of the legal, financial, and all that kind of side of it.
The lawyers are coming. The lawyers are coming.
Yes, everybody run and hide.
The lawyers are coming.
But tell everybody to just kind of park that for a minute. Focus first on what's the vision that you can provide for your customers.
How can you make your business more, what piece could be added to you to make your business more important? And that's a mergers and acquisitions. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. Well, that's great. We're glad you're here, David. David Broad is the author of SuccessfulAcquisitions.net. Get there, get the book, find out more about this stuff that even you can be a fat cat, no matter what size business you have, and be involved in getting important things for your business. To compete in the future, we're all going to have to do that, right?
Absolutely.
And with skills that, we can't do it all. We need help. Thank you, David.
Thank you for having me.
See, the name of the game is changing, right? If you don't change nowadays, you ain't going nowhere because the world is changing around you, and you better grab that train or it's just going to pass you by. And one way to do that is by hooking up with other, similar products or other services that will make your product better to the customer. And there's a lot of ways to do that. So I hope you got something out of that. Well, it seems like there's very few insurance policies out there that don't have some kind of copay or deductible or something like that. Well, there's nonprofit organizations around the country really that help you with that. Because you're in time of need and time of trouble, it's not only government programs that are helping out, it's nonprofits that set up to solve these kind of problems. And there's a good website, to go to find out about these kinds of things. Now here, go to Cancer FAC, particularly if you have cancer, but it will lead you to other places too. CancerFAC.org. You don't want to go to .coms, okay? Now that's a great website because you just put in your zip code and what kind of cancer you have or what what kind of assistance you need. You know, it's for daycare money, co-payments, or your deductible is too high or something like that. And you get up $5,000, $10,000 or more kind of thing. And this is grant money you don't have to pay back. You know, and there's so many organizations. Through that page, you'll find other programs too for other kinds of illnesses, not only cancer, like Chronic Disease Fund. You know, they provide over $600 million in copay assistance. So you go in and you get a big ticket for some, you know, illness you have, you know, maybe a $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, you know, bill, and maybe 10-20% of that you're going to have to copay. So where are you going to come up for 20 grand? So that's it. Check these out. Chronic Disease Fund, the information's there. The Health Wealth Foundation. They pay for insurance premiums, co-payments, everything like that. Here's another place, the Leukemia Lymphoma Society Co-Pay Assistance Program. See, there's co-pay assistance programs out there. You know, or the National Organization of Rare Disorders. You have a rare disorder and you need to pay for out-of-pocket expenses, even though you're part of it's covered by healthcare, part of it's not. You know, they'll help you with that. You know, find out about it. Well, here's a great website, copays.org. Yeah, just for co-payments. Man, you know, I mean, everybody's, you know, healthcare is going through the roof in costs. So everybody provides plans now are trying to, you know, cut down on those costs by making you pay some. And you always don't have that money. So find out about these sites so you can get that money and get the healthcare you need. Don't go through life without getting the needed care. Do some effort and find how to get that extra money paid for. Okay, how would you like to go to one website, you know, and spend a little time designing what you want to do because you're looking for $9,000 to tell a story about the real workers in China? Well, this is what this fella did. Yeah, and he got $9,000 so he could go to China and take photographs of the real people make all these products in our country. You know, it's something like 50, 60, I don't know how many percent of the products come from China, right? So, but we don't know about the people making those products. We know about the bad things, you know, that happen in China and all this kind of stuff, but not the people. And this fellow wanted to show the rest of the world the insides of these people and tell that story with his camera. And he went to this website, you know, and got like almost $9,000 to do this. It wasn't from a big publisher. It wasn't from a fat cat. It wasn't from the China Nationalist Association or something like that. It was from the crowds in crowdfunding on the website. You know, he's a delightful fella. So listen to how he did this. You know, it's just a matter of having a decent idea, you know, and testing it. And see, a website like this, you can test that idea. See if it works. If it doesn't, you've got another idea. It costs you nothing to test it. So watch him tell you about the story, how he did this, and watch his pictures. His pictures are terrific. Man, it shows you the insides of these people, and that's what you don't get in the newspaper. So watch that. Well, it's Lucas Scherfs. I mean, I don't know if I got that right, but I'll try again later. But more importantly, man, you have a book about the working class now in China that I think is really so important in the world. You know, I mean, it seems that, I mean, I'm trying to study Mandarin, you know, for a year and barely know 3 words, and we have this biggest country in the world, and nobody knows what it's all about, and you're educating it. So, how did you get into this?
Okay, well, I lived 5 years in China, and this project is about you know, the made in China stuff that we use every day.
Yes.
And I thought we use all these objects every day, our phone, our computers, you know, the kids' toys are all made in China, but we don't know the people who make them. Yeah. So I thought it missed the human side of the story. I mean, everybody has an opinion about made in China. You know, they're stealing our jobs, you know. It's toxic, it's bad quality, whatever. Everybody has an opinion, but there's no human side of it. So that was lacking, and I wanted to show the human side of it. So I went to Chinese factories, and I took just portraits, pictures of the workers.
Well, and you're starting your own State Department, it seems like, to get communities together around the world. As long as, I mean, what you're doing to me will bring us closer together as a world community than any diplomats will probably do. Yeah. And more importantly, you found out how you got $8,000-9,000 on the website to do that. What's the source again you got the money from?
So it's Emphasis. Emphasis, yes. It's a crowdfunding website, and it's specialized in photojournalism. And so they found a lot of photo books.
So,
basically.
and these are like where publishers normally wouldn't, maybe it's hard to get money from publishing books from publishers nowadays. And so you go on this website, and through crowdfunding, you're able to get the money needed to get this book to the public, huh?
Yes, that's how it works.
That's the name of the game, yeah. But the photographs are stunning, and you know that, Lucas. I mean, you've been a photographer for a long time, but I mean, it just real people showing real lives, and I could see, through the photographs that how, God, I mean, it just brings life more alive for me when I watch those photographs, and I know nothing about China. Oh, there's the book. Yeah, beautiful covers, but it every face that you have.
Yeah, it's about portraits and faces. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, look at that guy. I mean, you have to love every photograph in there. That image is a real person. You cannot think of that person stealing your job. Yeah, you cannot think of that person, for somehow maliciously, putting something illegal in your product. Or I mean, the fairy tales that we have about other countries, because we just don't know. And that's why I think what you're doing with these beautiful photographs. I mean, look at that woman. I mean, just a little smile and sparkle that you're able to capture. I mean, that's what I mean. I think a great photographer like you shows us the world that we don't even see.
Yeah, well, it was exactly the idea. And I call it looking into the eyes of Made in China. And the idea was really to get close to these workers. And that's why I make, portraits very cropped like that. And yeah, you can read on the face, on the wrinkles, you can read the life of the worker in the picture. And if you like the imagination, there's also a little text, a little caption so it tells you the story of each worker. And I know each time it tells you what kind of products they produce. And you can see if you're using these products, like TV.
Oh, really? So you can, and you run to the kitchen. Oh man, that's a toaster. That guy made it.
Yeah, basically.
But
so
I think
so
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yeah, I was this is a 2-year project. I took portraits of 600 workers, and I choose the 100 best ones to put in the book. And as we mentioned before, I'm a photojournalist, so my usual, I go to the magazines with that, and I some magazine actually published it, but the maximum I had was 7 pages, and I thought it should be in a book and make 100 page, and it's like, so the reader can take its time and see, better these photos and think about the topic a little bit more.
Well,
so,
at least in the States, is the book in French or English or both?
It will be in 2 languages, and maybe actually I'm thinking about adding Chinese. So yes, French, English, and Chinese.
Well, see, I sort of think, because I know a lot of Chinese Americans here where I live, that this is a wonderful coffee table book for them, for their American friends, to show what their life is like in China. Because when I have Chinese friends here, I'm trying to find out more what life is like in China. So now they could show me this book of really factory workers and in China, and the image, instead of painting a mental picture.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love that, and it's definitely a coffee table book. And the great thing about Emphasis is that they really tell you should think about shipping the book all in the whole world. So that's what I did when I raised the campaign. I put a price for $50. You buy the book, and I'll ship it wherever you
so
are.
One price. Oh, that's wonderful.
Shipping included anywhere in the world.
So now you already got all your money from Emphasis, or going to do soon. But now the book is available on your website, right? It's Picto, Picto Bank, BANK.com.
Yes,
and then people could buy it there, and you say it's $50, and you'll ship it anywhere in the world for you, even into China.
and it's not a crowdfunding campaign anymore, where the rule with Emphasis is like all or nothing. So you put your budget, and if you don't reach your budget, then everybody gets their money back. So that's not going to happen anymore. So people order the book and they know they'll get it.
Ah,
you know?
great. How about, is this printed in China?
It is printed in China.
Oh, it is?
Actually, I have this friend who had this great idea. He said, are you going to put in the book portraits of the worker who print the book? It was a great idea. I loved it. It's just impossible because how do you put in the book that they're printing the photos that you're taking at the same time? So it will be for a second book, I guess.
Or now you can do it. Put a postcard for special orders or something. You get a photograph of the printer. Yeah. You know, like a little postcard, a throw-in or something like that. Oh, no, that's terrific. Was it difficult to get into the factories to do this, you know, as a foreigner?
It was a little bit, but then again, I lived in China for 5 years. So,
I see.
you know, I have a Chinese assistant. I usually go to Chinese factories. In fact, that's how I got the idea. I mean, I was telling you that I work for magazines and media, and they all, during my 5 years, regularly they asked me to illustrate the idea that China is the factory of the world.
Yes.
So I was going regularly to factories, but what pictures they wanted was this huge, gigantic, you know, factories,
Machine or whatever.
machines, and people, you know, are really that small, and you see like 1,000 workers at once.
Yeah.
And the more I was going to these factories and taking this kind of pictures that you know the media were asking me to take, the less I was thinking it was actually the story, because I was taking lunch break with the workers. You know, I was speaking better and better Chinese, and I was having conversation with them, asking them about their life. So I was thinking, no, really, I don't want to take these gigantic photos anymore. I want to focus on one person and then this other person and this other person. So in the end, I decided, okay, I'm going to found my own project. I'm going to have a pet project for the last 2 years, because at that time I knew I was going out of China in 2 years. So the last 2 years, I'm going to have this pet project. I'm going to go back to this factory, to go to new factories, and I will set up a photo studio and take pictures of the people one by one.
Yeah. Well, that's terrific. Now, and now you have the book, and that's why I find the people that I meet in the States, I haven't been to China, but the Chinese Americans that are, you know, just here a few years that I know, man, they're all just very respectful, sweet people. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just the crowd I hang around in, but they're just a delight to be around, and that's why, to me, for you showing that side of China more and the humanity of it is just wonderful, because like people know America just by the bad stuff we do, and we know China just about the bad stuff we do. And so,
well, exactly. It's about getting people closer, you know, understanding more each other, not having stereotypes about each other, but getting to see them, hear their life stories, and really know them better. About Chinese people, I think they're really building their country, you know. It's very exciting time. It was very exciting for the 5 years I was living there. You see how they get from underdeveloped to developed, you know, and maybe and they go for number one, you know. Nothing's going to stop them. They want your seat in the GDP scale. They already leapfrog France.
Exactly. And they're right on our tail. They're going to be gone. We got to get smart. Well, we both do. Well, Lucas, thank you so much, Lucas. It's a pleasure to meet you, and it's a pleasure to know that people like you are doing this really good work out there, and that you found a website to finance it, even if other people won't finance it. You know, the gatekeepers aren't financing it, so you found a way around everybody to get it financed. And if you go to pictobank.com and get Lucas's books about the real people in China who make everything for you, right?
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much, Matthew.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
So use this website. You want to tell a story about something? This is a place to do it, you know. And the crowd will tell you if your story is a good idea or a bad idea. Man, I've written 100 books and only about 10 have done anything. So we're all full of all kinds of ideas, and the only way you sort through those is by trying. You keep trying. You keep trying. So that's what you got to do. Now here's money for your next trip overseas if you run into terrorists. That's right. The government has money if you're traveling overseas and you run into terrorists and have all these unexplained expenses or whatever. Man, look at the stuff you get. Up to $50,000 for medical expenses, right? Health care. You know, you need mental health care after this. You get $5,000 for that. Or replace property that you lost. A terrorist took your luggage or whatever. $10,000 for that. Or even like miscellaneous. You know, it costs you maybe up to 30 more days of lodging and transportation, or even telephone calls. All that you get a government grant for. And it's a program called the International Terrorism Victim Expense Reimbursement Program. Man, see, I told you the government has a program, a grant program for everything. International Terrorism Victim Expense Reimbursement Program. And you go to ovc.gov, ovc.gov/ITVERP for International Terrorism Victim Expense Program. But I'll tell you a better site to go to before you travel. You go to the travel.state.gov. That's travel.state.gov, as in State Department, U.S. Government. And they have the travel warnings, you know, for every country. So you think about going to Mali, like where my wife does a lot of work. I mean, they have travel warnings there, and they have a whole list of countries and what you got to watch out, and maybe you're going to change your mind about traveling overseas. So that's where to go first, so you don't have to get the International Terrorism Victim Expense Reimbursement Program.